Hi, this is Tom Watson with AMI. I'm here to give a quick demonstration of AssetTrack for ServiceNow. We're the only barcode and RFID asset tracking system built entirely within the ServiceNow platform. So there's no external server or cloud service required to track assets using AssetTrack for ServiceNow. The purpose of AssetTrack is to enable you to have complete, current, and accurate asset data in your ServiceNow asset management module. You can't achieve the goals of compliance, availability, security, and savings if the data in your ServiceNow asset management module is not trusted. AssetTrack gives you the tools to make this possible. What AssetTrack does is to provide forms that are available on any type of device, from a smartphone to a tablet, to a scanner, to a ruggedized barcode reader, including handheld RFID readers, even fixed position RFID readers, to help your people in the field automate the updating of the ServiceNow asset repository as the assets move through the asset lifecycle. So people typically use us to receive assets, to put assets into stock rooms, to track deployments, moves, as well as to retire and dispose assets using smartphone devices or rugged scanners or RFID readers, so your users can quickly get the asset repository updated and keep your asset inventory up to date. Also, AssetTrack provides the ability to do regular audits, which is where you can send someone to a location or a stockroom to verify that the asset data in ServiceNow is accurate. With an audit, you can have Joe, the auditor, go to a stockroom and choose the audit function and scan everything in a stockroom. AssetTrack will then verify that everything's where it's supposed to be. It'll correct the location of any assets that are currently reported in the wrong location. It'll identify any assets that are missing. It'll add any new assets that are discovered during the audit. So by first automating your asset lifecycle changes, as well as performing regular audits, that's how you get confidence that your asset data is 99% or better. And that's what we're striving for. So let's get into it, and I'll show you what we're talking about. So because AssetTrack is a scoped application, you can go right to the ServiceNow store. You can do it via our website, or you can go directly to the ServiceNow store and find our application here. And again, because we are a fully scoped application, you can click the try button and you can get a 30-day trial of AssetTrack for ServiceNow in your own instance. Once you come here and you click try, then go to your ServiceNow instance. And select the applications from your menu. You'll find AssetTrack available in your download section. Just click the install button. In 5 minutes, you'll get AssetTrack installed into your ServiceNow instance. Once installed, make sure that you logged in with an administrative account, or otherwise you won't be able to access applications. Once installed, then you'll see AssetTrack in the menu. And one of the easiest things to do is to have just a USB scanner attached to your laptop, and you can click the Launch AssetTrack button. I'm going to start here by just scanning via my laptop with a USB scanner. Then I'll switch over to a smartphone and I'll show you how I can scan with an iOS device or an Android device with the camera. So I clicked on the Launch AssetTrack button. The AssetTrack interface appeared, and it gives me a collection of forms that I can use to do barcode-enabled asset updates. These are all configurable, so don't worry about whether these labels make sense or you want to change the names or change the fields or the rules on these forms. AssetTrack just ships with an out-of-the-box set of forms, but working with AMI, we can easily show you how to customize those forms to meet your specific needs. So a simple use case here is checking assets out to a user. So say that I'm a technician and I'm assigning 3 assets to an end user. I click the checkout button. Using my scanner, I scan the tags of the assets that I'm assigning to that user. And here the checkout process is asking for a location and assigned to. I can optionally choose a location. I'm searching the ServiceNow location list. I could also pick an end user from the user list. And then boom, save and upload, and those 3 assets are now assigned to that location and that user. There are other forms available, of course, like check-in. This is where we're returning assets to stock. Same process, scan the tags of the assets that you're checking in, and then the check-in process asks for a stock room instead of in field location, for example. So your forms are all customizable, but this gives you an idea how you can quickly use a barcode scanner to check in and check out assets. So I just did this with a laptop, but let's switch hats now and become a field user using a smart device. So now that I've got AssetTrack installed into my ServiceNow environment, I'm going to go to the App Store. I'm going to search for AssetTrack 4, and I'm going to install the free client. So the AssetTrack iOS app is free. We also support Android, Windows Phone, BlackBerry 10 even. So when the AssetTrack app first runs, it's going to ask you for the ServiceNow server address, and you're going to type SN:// and then the name of your instance. Your AssetTrack app is going to connect directly to your ServiceNow instance, and it's going to ask you to authenticate. We use built-in ServiceNow authentication, so if you have an SSO provider or basically whatever authentication provider you have hooked into ServiceNow, we will leverage. So I'm going to log in with my ServiceNow credentials, and then that takes me to the same interface just on a mobile device. So now that I've got a smartphone, same process. I can check assets out, select my location, pick a user, and now I'm going to use this icon down here to launch my camera and scan my barcodes. So I've scanned 4 assets into the list. I save and upload my records to the server. Your devices can operate in an offline mode so that you can sync data to the device and store your scanned records in a local queue and then upload later. This is important if you are in locations that don't have network access. So point being is whatever device your technicians have, whether it be a desktop, laptop, tablet, or a smartphone device, your field users have easy-to-use forms that are barcode enabled that allow you to scan many assets and update them all at once. And then again, like I said, these forms are customizable. We just ship with an out-of-the-box set of forms for you to get the idea. But if you work with AMI, we can customize these for you. So I showed you a checkout, I showed you a check-in. A move is a similar function. It's just different fields on the form, just giving you more options so that we can move things to a location or a stock room, let the user pick the state and sub-state. But the forms basically all work the same. It's just a matter of what forms you have configured in your system. So now that we've checked in and checked out, there's a couple other cool little features here that are pretty handy, such as say I'm a technician and I'm checking assets into stock, and I scan a couple of tags, and then I scan a tag of an asset that doesn't exist in the ServiceNow system. This is called rogue asset detection. We can alert the technician with an audible alert that, hey, this tag isn't found in the database, and we're putting validation on this form to ensure that, hey, you're not allowed to upload records without complete information. So the technician can tap on this asset, can choose to search through the ServiceNow model catalog, clear that exception, and then you'll notice here we've got stock rooms required as well, so I've got to clear that exception too. Then once all the exceptions are cleared, I can save and upload these records. That one new asset that we just detected is now added to ServiceNow. That's a great way to be able to detect things that have slipped through the cracks and make sure that all of your assets are getting captured into the ServiceNow system. I also want to show an audit. So now that we've created assets, moved them, updated them, now here's where I want to go send somebody to a location to verify that the assets that are reporting in this location or this stock room is accurate. So I'm going to send somebody I'm going to simulate a data center rack location audit. And so I'm going to select the audit location function, and the first thing I'm going to do is choose the rack location. So I'm going to search through my database for the AA01 rack location and run a search. And then AssetTrack is going to download all of the assets that are expected in that rack. So now as the auditor, I scan everything that's in the rack. As I scan each tag, you'll notice that AssetTrack is matching what's expected to what is found. So we had 4 assets that were expected. I found 3 of them. I also found 4 other assets that were installed into this rack but weren't updated in ServiceNow. This isn't a problem. AssetTrack's going to fix this for you. It's going to move these 4 assets to that rack. And then we've got 1 asset that's missing. So when I save and upload these records after I'm finished with this rack, now I can move on to the next rack and continue on my audit. So now that we've completed our rack-by-rack data center audit, all the records have been uploaded to ServiceNow. First of all the records that we scanned are now in the correct location. I can also then come to ServiceNow and I can run if you hit the overview button here, we can launch the AssetTrack audit report. So this is a built-in report that's it's just a report that we created as part of the AssetTrack application. It's using just the built-in asset management modules and the built-in ServiceNow reporting, and it gives you an assessment of what happened after this data center audit. I can see, what percentage of my assets were found where they were supposed to be, how many assets were missing, how many assets were found but in the incorrect location or in an unexpected location, and I can drill into my report and see, here's my 1 missing asset that we can't find. We can then deploy somebody to go track that down. So AssetTrack is giving your people in the field the tools to quickly capture and update asset information in the field using barcode-enabled devices. We're also providing this audit capability so that you can go do verifications and you can find, identify, and correct any errors in the database and then identify any missing assets. We also track some logging so you can see how many scans are happening by user so that you can identify which technicians are doing their job and which ones aren't. This is really important to, as you mature your asset management process, that you're able to identify, hey, we've given this cool AssetTrack tool to 50 technicians. Well, these 12 haven't scanned a single thing in the last month. We like to say you can lead a horse to the data center, but you can't make it scan a barcode. Well, by AssetTrack logging your scanning activity, you can find those horses and whip them, to continue my horse metaphor. Also, we give you the number of scans by form, so you can see how well your different forms are being used. And so this kind of metrics here can help you improve your asset management process that you've put into place and make sure that people are using your tools correctly. So the combination of the system being a scoped application that is available right from the ServiceNow store, that lives all inside the ServiceNow platform, so it's really easy to install. There's no other kind of services to provision. You don't have to set up a server. You don't have to pay any third party to manage a cloud service or anything, making the installation very, very easy. And then, of course, providing the ability for your technicians and your field users to have easy to use, accessible forms that work on any device with barcode-enabled scanning so that they can quickly capture many asset records and report those changes up to asset management, along with the ability to do regular audits to find and correct errors. That gives you some statistics about how accurate your data is at any given point in time. Those are all the tools that you need to get to that level of confidence in your asset data in ServiceNow that, as an asset manager, you're responsible for maintaining. By having this kind of confident data, you can survive any type of audit or any kind of question that ever gets asked of you of your asset management module. So AssetTrack for ServiceNow is an incredible component to add to your asset management process. It's very, very simple to install and configure. AssetTrack offers, or AMI offers, 30-day free evaluations. Go to the store, give it an install, contact us at amitracks.com. We're happy to set up some free training to get you started to make sure that you get the most out of the tool. Thank you very much.